All right. So today we are doing part two of the segment, basically starting over. Yesterday we had part one, and I was telling you guys a story of how I got to the point in which I'm out in the country and basically getting ready to start over. So the title of this video is what made me have to start over. So I guess I'll start off with, what led up to it, and I'll kind of backtrack a bit. I some of the things that I'm going to talk about now, I did basically talk about it in yesterday's video, but today I would like to touch on it a little bit more, as well as kind of transition into what and how I vision starting over and etc. So basically, I think if you guys saw the video yesterday, I was talking about how I got injured and back in 2023, and basically that injury started off a chain reaction, both physically and mentally, and the impact that it took, and how it took a toll on me basically over time. I didn't really talk about that, so I guess I'll just go into that a little bit and basically say, like, it was really tough going from construction job. For those of you who don't know what a swamper is, because that was my job title before, swamper is basically the guy who works with the crane, and he basically hooks up everything to a crane. So if you can envision those big construction sites that you see building condos and all those things, and you see the big crane, well, I'm not the guy in the crane, I'm the guy that's at the bottom hooking everything up. So for those who know, or those who are in construction, like those jobs are very fast paced, and in fact you're probably one of the most important people when it comes to a construction site, because all the other trades rely on you. So if it's plumbers, or if it's electricians, carpenters, whoever needs material, they rely on the swamper. And swamper is basically a made-up term in Canada for signaler and rigger, but a swamper is those two in one. See, back in the days, they used to have one person signal and the other person rig it up, and rigging is basically hooking everything up to the chains that you see hanging from the crane. So essentially that was my job. And the reason I'm talking about impact is because I was basically the main guy. So I knew everyone on the site. Everything that I did every day, I had to be in contact with every trade. So to me personally, it was a there was a lot of strain mentally and physically, but I loved it because it made me feel a sense of belonging. And not only, I don't want to say belonging like I felt that I needed to belong, but it's almost like, you have to build a family. It's almost like a team, you know what I mean? Like in sports, you have to be able to have good relationships in order to get to your end goal, whatever it might be. So I kind of look at it the same way as in construction. Like if you want to get the building done in a good timing, because the foreman is in charge of making sure that you guys are on schedule and everything, you have to have a good team. So for me, it was fun being the swamper because everyone had to come with me. You had to have good relationships. I built a lot of great relationships with all the people in the different trades, and it was great. And that momentum, it didn't start at that point. I was actually a laborer before, and I had to work my way up started off at the bottom from $20 an hour doing renovation jobs, and having to ask around to get into the union, and would eventually bless me to get into the high-rise industry. Took some years, to be honest with you. It took me maybe like 3 or 4 years, but eventually I did break into the high-rise industry, and I went from being a laborer at the bottom, having to carry all the heavy equipment and all that, to working up to being a swamper. So eventually, when I became a swamper, It was definitely a huge responsibility shift because as a laborer, you're just there at the bottom. No one really is looking at you all day long. No one's really worrying about where you are, to being a swamper, whereas you actually even at a point become responsible for other people to an extent, because you're in charge of a lot. You got to make sure that materials are getting where they need to go. You got to make sure if you need laborers that they're helping you and doing what they need to do. So definitely momentum definitely built from me going from the bottom of the chain to the top of the chain, from being a laborer to working up to becoming a swamper. So I think we're losing momentum started happening is when I got injured, because then I was forced to basically stay home for 2 years, and that mentally that took a huge toll on me. The mental degradation was ridiculous, to be honest with you, because it got to a point where I didn't even really notice the decline or how much it was gonna affect me to a point. And when I got to that point, it was too late. When I realized it was almost too late to do anything about it, I started to become depressed. I was on autopilot, didn't even realize it, to be honest with you, because I've never been in that situation before where you just go to being on a construction site, you're in charge of everything all the time, to now being home and you're being paid to stay home. Like I would never wish that on anybody's. As great as it sounds, getting paid to stay home, it's a completely it's a huge shift from going from being in charge and being, everyone wants to know where you are, to now being at home. And I was around that time I had just had a new baby, so I kind of went from being in charge of these guys and talking to these guys all day to now being in charge of changing diapers and all those things. And in no way am I saying that I'm not grateful for it, because having a kid is a blessing. In fact, I think God almost set it up that way so that I could be there for my child as they were born, and almost be able to help out as much as possible. But where I say I wasn't prepared was mentally. I didn't really know how to deal with the situation, and I didn't realize that it was going to take a toll on me from being retracted from those relationships and being taken out from basically essentially being the guy to having to be okay with not being the guy at all, and just essentially being home all the time, and just being taken away from those relationships and those things. Where I didn't realize how much I valued those things until it was taken away from me. And that happens to you a lot in life sometimes, where you don't really realize how much you value these things that you have, these blessings that God puts into your life, until they're taken out of your life, right? So I think over time, that loss of momentum from working my way to a laborer up to a swamper to losing everything due to injury kind of put me on almost like an autopilot, because I started, everything was about routine now. I had to start going to physio. I had to slowly work my way up back to going basically from being that guy to having to work back up to get into that point. And the only reason I actually took the surgery was because I was told by WSIB, which is the Work and Safety Insurance Board, that basically, they're just like, yeah, take the surgery, you'll be fine. They'll basically have to take you back when once you're ready. So I was like, okay, might as well just take it, because if it keeps happening. And that injury happened twice in the space of 2 months. When it first happened back in August 2023, I had actually gone home and stayed home for about a week, and then I went back onto another site, and it happened again where I dislocated my shoulder. And that's when I kind of just decided, like, the doctor recommended that I get surgery, so maybe it will be a good idea, maybe it won't happen again. So essentially I did that, and I kind of, looking back on it now, I kind of wish I didn't do that, and I opted for just maybe the rehab route, because not only did I get onto an autopilot stage, but I also started to become complacent, just because when you go from one situation to the next that you're not prepared for, sometimes you're not mentally prepared for the things that it's going to throw at you. So I was at home basically all day long, just kind of just taking care of the kids, going on with my routine, going to rehab, just doing this, doing that. And it definitely did start to take a toll on me, to the point where I kind of just didn't realize that out of nowhere I was just depressed. Like it slowly happened, so I didn't realize how much of a toll it took on me. But definitely looking back on it now, I realized why I started to feel stuck, and I wasn't holding myself accountable in the situations where I should have, because again, I wasn't prepared mentally and I guess physically for what was to come. So I guess that's kind of where we're at now. What brought me to where I am now, which is basically the wake up call, because the situation almost completely forced me to kind of confront reality and take the necessary steps and kind of ask God, what's next, like what do you want me to do? Because I was so caught up on doing things my way, and it really wasn't working that way, because I felt myself constantly just doing things that I wouldn't normally do just because I could, or just going on autopilot and just letting things happen as opposed to making things happen. And there's a book that I love. It's called Dynamic People Skills, and there's a quote. You guys are gonna hear me quote this book a lot, because this book changed my life the first time I read it, which is maybe like about 6 or 7 years ago, or probably even more. That way before I had kids, I was in college. And there's a quote in the book that says, change before you're forced to by an outside source. So basically what that basically means is it's pretty self-explanatory. You know what I mean? Like see the change that's needed, step back maybe out of your situation and realize that the change that is needed, try to do it before you're forced to by an outside source. And essentially I didn't do that, and I guess that's kind of why I'm at the point where I have to change now, because I was, as you guys know, the situation that happened, unfortunately I was forced to by an outside source, and now I'm kind of dealing with everything that I'm dealing with. So switching it up a bit now we're on to the point of where I'm changing, and now I guess I could tell you guys what I'm changing. And the biggest thing that I felt like I needed to start with was building discipline, because I just while I was on autopilot, I wasn't taking care of myself, like mentally, physically. I was eating a lot of garbage, and I was realizing that was affecting my mental. So now that I'm out here, I'm building more discipline as I can, where I can. I'm changing my diet. I'm exercising more, and I'm realizing that as hard as it kind of seems to do those things, when you want the change, it kind of just everything follows suits. So in Dynamic People Skills, I'm going to give another quote. It says, change before you have a heart attack. Or no, sorry, it says, be the man that changes his diet before he gets a heart attack, rather than waiting for the heart attack to change. So I definitely, I wasn't too worried about having a heart attack, but I wanted to change my diet, not only just because for those reasons, but also just because, like, if I'm going to start exercising, one thing that you got to realize is what you put into your body goes hand in hand. You can't just start exercising and then all of a sudden you're not eating, like you're still eating garbage. It doesn't make sense. Like, if you're going to exercise but you're going to continue to eat garbage, you will lose weight and you'll build muscle, but over time you're just gonna keep it. It's harder, essentially, because unless you're watching the garbage that you put into your body, you're having to work twice as much to burn that off, as opposed to if you're eating the right things, then it's gonna be less work that you have to put in, or essentially not necessarily less work that you have to put in, but you'll get your results faster because you're not having to undo the things that you're putting into your body. So that was one of the things that I noticed that I had to change. Growing spiritually, 1,000% was an area of my life that I noticed I had to change, because like I said, I read the book Dynamic People Skills maybe like about 8 years ago, and I shifted my spiritual mindset like that instantly when I read that book, because I realized that the life that I was living wasn't necessarily suiting the life that I wanted or saw for myself in the future. So I noticed that I wanted to strengthen my relationship with God as well, because I noticed that I just didn't rely on God as much as I used to when I first read the book and when I first changed my mindset. And that's another reason why I got to the situations where I am now, because I just was relying on myself as opposed to leaning on the higher power and help and asking for help. And just knowing that the higher power is what's going to help you achieve the things that you want to get to faster than if you're doing it on your own. So also creating videos with YouTube and just documenting my journey. I just felt like that might help others dealing with the same thing. So essentially, I'm trying to not only change my life right now, but I feel like, why not document it and also speak to those and build a community, or join a community where people are dealing with the same things, because we're all human beings. There's no way that we're not dealing with the same things or not similar things, because we live in the same planet. We encounter the same things. We take the same transit. We take the same roads. You know what I mean? We might not be going through the exact same situations, but chances are 9 times out of 10 we've encountered the same things to an extent, right? So for me, it was a no-brainer for me to start creating videos. In fact, I wanted to make videos a long time ago, but I kind of was hesitant to it. And I feel like, going back to what I was saying in part 1 yesterday, the enemy just, a lot of times when you're onto something, the enemy is gonna double down on you. So I felt like a lot of times I want to do the right thing. I want to be good. I want to do good. I want to help others. But there's always, when that thought comes in, it's like 10 times distractions come in at that point, because they don't want you to be better. They don't want you to help people get better. So that's another thing that I realized that I wanted to implement in my change, to not only help myself, but to help others. Because I feel like, to me personally, when I'm helping others, it helps myself. For me, I notice the most fulfillment I get in this life is when I'm helping other people. And that's a big reason to why I'm a music producer, and why I love writing music and just doing things that could potentially just help others, whether it just help them to feel good, or if I'm helping produce someone's album or a song and it's helping them connect, and maybe I'm doing things that they wouldn't be able to do by themselves. So that's a huge thing for me personally, and I get the most fulfillment out of knowing that even if it's one person's life that I'm changing, whether it be helping a lady cross the road, or whether it be helping this artist achieve that sound that they couldn't get by themselves. I get a lot of fulfillment out of just helping people achieve things that they wouldn't have been able to do by themselves. So writing music and channeling my energy for the good is definitely another thing that I'm implementing in my change right now, because it's something that I want to do. And it's something that I feel like, if I keep consistent, will not only create a good impact on the world, but it will impact me as well, because like I said, my fulfillment comes from helping others. So I'm working where I can, when I can. Also, right now I'm out in the country with my mom, and they own a restaurant. So when I can work, if my kids are not with me, I'm always going to be working, whether it be on the grill, making the jerk chicken for the restaurant, or whether it be washing the dishes, whether it be helping prep veggies, or whatever it is, wherever I can, I'm working, because I know the value behind putting in work. And it might not be construction, I might not be doing swamper work, making $50 an hour, which I went from. That's another thing I didn't mention. When I worked my way up from becoming a swamper, I went from basically $20 an hour jobs to slowly working up as a labor, to $35 an hour. And then when I became a swamper, I went from 35 to about $50 an hour, if not more. So honestly, I just feel like it doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're doing construction or wherever you can help, just help. Work is I definitely think it's a part of being a man, going to work every day and just being able to provide for your family, provide for yourself. And lastly, I want to say that becoming a better father is definitely on the top of my list of change for now, because I won't say I'm a terrible father. Like, I definitely was in my kids' lives since they were born, and now after this whole situation happened, I don't know how much I'll be able to be involved, just because they won't be living with me. But I definitely will go over and above and beyond to make sure that I'm always in their lives, whether it be video calls, whether I have to, go out and reach out and get to them by any means necessary. I'm always going to make sure that I'm in their lives, because I don't think situations that change necessarily your circumstances should also affect those who ultimately need you. At a point in life, you have to make a decision that I'm going to be this way, and I'm going to do this no matter what. So one thing that I noticed that I want to change now is becoming and being a better father no matter what. Like, I decided that I'm going to do whatever it takes to become the best father that I don't want to say, not necessarily that I didn't have growing up, but also I just want to be a better father, because I know the impact of having a great mother and a great father. I know how important it is for kids to be in their life and help them grow, and just be there along the way. Because to be honest with you, growing up, I didn't really always have my mother and my father there when I needed them the most. And this is not a knock on them, because we're all human beings. We're all trying to get through. Parents need to go to work. Sometimes they can't be there for you all the time. So a lot of times, and the world back then when I was growing up is so different from the world now, to the point where I feel like if you can, put your best foot forward, and kind of see where you came from, and know the impact of how it was growing up. If you can make a change, then do it, because a lot of times, it just takes that effort to help you, or to help the person that you might be helping. And in this case, when it's kids, they're very impressionable when they're young. So that's when you're doing all the groundwork. That's when everything has to be done. You can't wait till they get old and then start trying. So if life forces you to start over, maybe it's not the end, but it's the beginning. That's how I feel. It's a beginning to what you've maybe been putting off, and over the next couple months and years, I want to create a series surrounding, rebuilding faith, and, rebuilding finances, and, rebuilding your health, rebuilding your career, rebuilding relationships, rebuilding confidence. I think essentially, that's just kind of where I want to start, because realistically speaking, you can't build Rome in a day, right? There's a saying that says Rome wasn't built in a day. But if you have an idea of what you want to do, and you have the power to do it, until that power is taken away from you, do it, because we're not guaranteed tomorrow. I feel like it's a blessing every day to be able to wake up and have the energy and the strength to do certain things, because not everyone has the blessing and the energy to do certain things. So I feel like if you can do it, because you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. You don't know if you're guaranteed to wake up tomorrow. You don't know, what's going to happen next week or the week after that. I know you want to be able to plan, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't plan just because you don't know if you're going to live, but I'm just saying, make today your best day and your best foot forward, and plan to be your best as much as you can, because coming from experiences of me not planning, and me allowing life to just control me, and me, like Dynamic People's Skills says, change before you're before you're forced to by outside source. I don't want to wait again for me to have to change because I'm forced to. Now I'm creating that change myself, so that I can possibly or potentially control the future that God has intended for not only myself but for others. And that's why I'm making these videos, because I want to be able to help someone who's not necessarily going through the exact same thing as me, but if this could impact one person that's dealing with certain things, it's not easy to lose your family and then start over in life, especially at an older age. A lot of times you feel like you've lost and you don't know where to start. But I'm creating these videos to show that, if you just start, there's no telling what can happen. And realistically speaking, I don't know what's going to happen for the future. I don't know how tomorrow is going to be, but I do know what I want, and I do know what I want for the people around me, and I do know what impact I want to make and what legacy I want to leave behind. So for me, I'm going to do everything I can today and tomorrow, and every day that God allows me to wake up, I'm going to do those things in order to get to that end goal that God has for myself. Because like I said, I'm not living for myself anymore. I'm living for the purpose that God has for me, whatever that be. Whatever it is that God has intended for your life, just strive every day that you wake up to put your best foot forward. Because at the end of the day, we don't have the privilege of knowing the future. We don't have the privilege of, not necessarily, or we don't have the privilege of knowing that we're gonna wake up tomorrow, and if we're gonna wake up tomorrow, but we do know that we can make the best today. And that's basically my message. Put your best foot forward, try to always be your best version, and in the end, do your best, and God will do the rest. So I thank everyone for tuning in. This is part 2 of the series, and I just want to keep encouraging those who are dealing with certain situations or similar situations. Keep going. You know what I mean? It's so, when I first started going through this, I thought everything was over. Like I was saying in part 1, I thought I didn't know where to start. But if you keep putting one foot in front of the next and just trusting in God, and don't lean on your own understanding, you will eventually get to that point where you can build the confidence and build the discipline and start to see a future that not only you want for yourself but the ones around you. And for me, success is a progressive realization of a worthwhile dream. That also is quoted in Dynamic People Skills. And to me, what that means is basically, the more you realize what you want and what is worth what waking up every day, what's worth getting to that point and realizing that this is what I'm going to put my energy into today, and I'm going to keep doing it until I get the end result. And if God wants me to continue doing this, if this is what God wants, then I will continue doing it, and I'm going to put my best foot forward in it. So that's all I have for today. I don't want to make these videos too long, because there's going to be a lot of them, because like I said, this is a journey, and we're all on this journey together. And I'm just hoping that even if you take 3 or 4 words from what I'm saying today, I just hope that it helps people dealing with the same situation. Anyone that wants to be motivated and is dealing with certain situations and just wondering, how do I get through this, or will I get through this? Yes, you will. I don't think I would have been able to say that 2 or 3 weeks ago when I was fresh in the situation. But every day God's working on you, and he's working in you, and there's not one day that goes by that God doesn't want the best for you. So what I just want to, the sentiment and the note that I want to leave off today is just keep working and keep trying to be the best that you can, because at the end of the day, God wants the best for you. I want the best for you. I want the best for everyone in this world. I think the world is better when we are at our best. So I love you guys. I want the best for you guys, and keep pushing, because at the end of the day, we all want to be the best version of ourselves. So stay tuned for episode 3. Try my best to keep these videos coming, because like I said, it took a while for me to get to this point, but I'm trying to keep the momentum, because at the end of the day, I just want everyone to keep growing. I just want the community to keep growing. I just want us to keep getting better. I want us to feed off of each other's energy. I want us to keep putting great energy out there, and I want us to realize that as much as life is gonna throw thunderbolts at you, keep going, get back up, and don't let anything defeat you. The only thing that can defeat you at the end of the day is yourself in this life. There's no one that has the power to control anything in your brain. There's no one that has the power over you. I mean, people can form weapons against you all the time, but the most important thing to me personally is to just keep trying and doing your best, and God will do the rest. So take care, love you guys, and look forward to part 3.